Um, okay, I would like to welcome everybody to the Women in Music series, and to let me welcome you to Western New Mexico University virtually. My name is Alexandra Tager, and I'm the program coordinator for WNMU Cultural Affairs. I wish we could all be together in person, but I know that you probably wouldn't all be here. So this is a special treat that we get to gather like this. And I thank you all for coming. I know there's a lot of online programming, and I appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. I'm going to share a picture of the campus here in southwestern New Mexico, Western New Mexico University, because I'd like to just give everybody a feel for where we are. So, Michael, can you share that? Is that working? We're not in a black hole, but
Well, it's working on one side, but I'll try it again as you keep on going.
okay. So yeah, Michael will give you a little shot of our beautiful little spot um, here in southern New Mexico, at the gateway to the Gila Wilderness. Um, so again, if people who are just arriving, feel free to put in the chat where you're tuning in from, because we're curious. We're all curious. So the Women in Music series was conceived during the pandemic as a way to take advantage of increased accessibility. Oh my God, sorry, increased accessibility to artists. I had the great good fortune to be on a Zoom call with Farah and Kiran, which I'd been invited to by their agent, Danielle Devlin, who's smiling up in the corner there. And the warmth and open-heartedness and of course the talent they showed in that Zoom call inspired this series. With all the content being delivered online, everyone's looking for a way to make it more intimate, more spontaneous, more live. And sitting and chatting with these two extraordinary artists, it became obvious to me that they were the right women for the job, or at least to kick it off. The series aims to bring global female voices to the fore, highlighting the journey women take, and particularly women of color, the journey they take to the top of their field. So we're going to be talking the series will continue. So a little information about our artist tonight. Farah Siraj is a Jordanian singer-songwriter who balances a career that spans the United States, Europe, and the Middle East. She's performed at some of the most prestigious platforms, including United Nations, Nobel Prize Hall, the Kennedy Center, and Lincoln Center. She represents Jordan annually on United Nations Peace Day. She sings in English, Arabic, and Spanish. She's also a humanitarian, and in that work she focuses on raising awareness about the consequences of war and violence, and advocates for women's rights, refugee rights, and animal rights. Farah was recognized for her humanitarian efforts by the United Nations Humanitarian Awards, and her music was played before the United Nations Security Council before passing a legislation regarding the genocide in Darfur. Farah approaches music as a medium for peace and compassion. And she now lives in Philadelphia. And then we have Kiran Ahluwalia, who is a modern exponent of the great vocal traditions of India and Pakistan, which she honors intensely, yet departs from in masterful personal ways. Her original compositions embody the essence of Indian music while embracing influences from Mali and Western blues, rock, R&B, and nuances of jazz. And then I lost my place. Okay, wait, here we go. Writing both words and music, Kiran's songs speak of fighting civil wars within ourselves, realizing female desire by throwing away shame, untying knots that bind us to stale embraces, seducing a shy lover, of not having learned how to live, and about rage against the middlemen and institutionalization of religion. Kiran will be accompanied by her partner, jazz guitarist Rez Abbasi. So in actual fact, we have three extraordinary performers with us tonight. We're particularly fortunate tonight as Farah and Kiran have collaborated on a new piece, an original piece, which will have its worldwide debut, here tonight. So you stick around for that because that will be towards the end of the program. There'll be a Q&A later in the program, so we'll let you know, but you can just feel free to start putting your questions in the chat and I will try to get to as many of them as I can. So again, thank you all for joining us tonight. This is really exciting, very special gathering, worldwide gathering, international gathering. And with that, I present Kiran Ahluwalia and Reza Bassi.
Thank you, Alexandra. It's so great to be here with your audience and some of our audience as well, and to be here with Farah. So we're gonna do a couple of songs. The first song we're gonna do is called Wo Kuch, and this is a song about a girl who is describing how absolutely insanely crazy she is about someone. And she's so crazy about him that she's heard that he has had a falling out with the company that he's been keeping. So this has kind of raised her hopes that maybe he's going to turn around and finally look for her company. So this is Wo Kuch. beautiful solos.
Equipment.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, thank you. Should I take this thing off so you? There we go. There's just like a million wires in our living room. Oh, reverb maybe. Did we take the reverb off? Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do another song for you. And then Farah's going to come on and do a couple of songs, and then we'll chat a bit, and then we'll show you our collaboration that we did with Farah. So we're going to do a Punjabi folk song next. This is called Rut Savandi. It's talking about the beautiful breeze in a beautiful season, and it's about a girl. It's very lighthearted. We picked very lighthearted songs for tonight. We didn't pick the heavy ones because that's what we felt like doing. So this is a song about a girl who's talking to her beloved, and she is basically, trying to figure out how to get close to him physically. And so she's saying, "Well, look, the breeze is nice, but the wind is kind of bothering me. So why don't you embrace me? Why don't you hold me in your warm embrace and protect me from the wind?" This is Rut Savandi. Oh, reverb. You're welcome.
Have to remember.
Yeah, no worries. रुत्सावंदी चुंड बदला दे रुत्सावंदी चुंड बदला दे मुड़ मुड़ के नहीं आने आपा वेस तरते उत्ते डेरे सदा न लोड़े लोड़े आ चुकी है मिठे इश्के दे बोल वे माया आ चुकी है मिठे इश्के दे बोल रुत्सावंदी चुंड बदला दे मुड़ मुड़ के नहीं आने आपा वेस तरते उत्ते डेरे सदा न लोड़े लोड़े आ चुकी है मिठे इश्के दे बोल वे माया आ चुकी है मिठे इश्के दे बोल तेठों चोरी वेख हवावां छेड़ दिया ने आके छेती कर वे रख ले मैनू बुक्कल विच लुका के तेठों चोरी वेख हवावां छेड़ दिया ने आके छेती कर वे रख ले मैनू बुक्कल विच लुका के ए बुक्कल प्यार दे निक्की वे दिल दे बूए खोल खोल आ चुकी है मिठे इश्के दे बोल वे माया आ चुकी है मिठे इश्के दे बोल रुत्सावंदी चुंड बदला दे मुड़ मुड़ के नहीं आने आपा वेस तरते उत्ते डेरे सदा न लोड़े लोड़े आ चुकी है मिठे इश्के दे बोल वे माया आ चुकी है मिठे इश्के दे बोल छड़के दुनिया वल समाने जाइए आसां दी डोली विच रच के प्यार दे हासे पाइए चल वे सजना छड़के दुनिया वल समाने जाइए आसां दी डोली विच रच के प्यार दे हासे पाइए असी इश्क दे दोनों राहे वसिए तारियां दे कोल कोल आ चुकिए मिठे इश्के दे बोल वे माया आ चुकिए मिठे इश्के दे बोल रुत्सा बंदी चुन बदला दे मुड़ मुड़ के नहीं आने आपा वेस तरते उते डेरे सदा न लाने लाने आ चुकिए मिठे इश्के दे बोल वे माया आ चुकिए मिठे इश्के दे बोल मिठे इश्के दे बोल मिठे इश्के दे बोल Thank you everybody. Oh, reverb. Rez Abbasi on the guitar. I'm Kiran Ahluwalia. Thank you so much. We miss you guys and we hope to see you in person really soon. And Rez might yeah. And now we're going to listen to the wonderful Farah Siraj. Oh, thank you everybody in the chat.
That was amazing. Both of you, that was really amazing. So inspiring and just a wonderful experience. Love to hear you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining. It's a pleasure to be here with you and spend this time. Thank you so much for tuning in and spending your time with us. Tonight's especially special, if I can say that, because we also have a featured collaboration that Kiran and I worked on together. And so we'll be sharing that with you later on. But first, I will perform for you a song that I feel is very special, very intimate. And since we have people tuning in from all around the world, I actually see Jalpa. Hello from Dubai. She's tuning in from Dubai. And I'm so happy that you're all here from all around. And so this song is basically a song that speaks to our common humanity. And it's based on a 12th century poem that says, if I am of the earth, then everywhere is my home and everyone is my family. And I think that is so beautiful. And when me living here in the US, I'm tuning in from Philadelphia right now. I try to keep in mind that approach that wherever I am, I'm home. So this is كلها بلادي. إذا كان أصلي من تراب فكلها بلادي إذا كان أصلي من تراب فكلها بلادي وكل العالمين وكل العالمين أقاربي ولا بد أن أسأل العيس حاجة تشق على الشام الذرة والغوارب وعلى شام الذرى والغوارب وكلها بلادي. Thank you all for those claps. I see you. So sweet. Thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. This is really special. You know, I'm sure all of us are feeling this, you know, being this kind of isolation, being away from each other, and music has just changed in so many ways for us musicians, you know, during the last year. I know Kiran and Res can attest to that. And in so many ways, it's brought us closer to our audiences that we can perform for in real time and see their chats and answer questions and have this interactive dialogue in real time when we're actually being able to perform for people in different countries, in different places at the same time. So that's been very special. At the same time, you know, we really miss performing live, and this is as close as we can get right now. So thank you so much for allowing us to have this experience with you. The next song I would like to perform and dedicate to all of you is called Inta Al Bal. It's a love song, and it's really about missing the person you love. And we can think of it as collectively missing each other. And it says, you know, wherever you are, you're in my heart. And after this separation, we'll meet again. And after the rain comes the sun. In the meantime, you're on my mind. So this is Inta Al Bal from my album Dunya. انت وين ما تكون راح تبقى بقلبي، وكل نبضة بحس بوجودك. انت إلي وانا إلك، وبعد الغياب حنتلاقى، وبعد الشتاء حتطلع الشمس. وانت عالبال آمان آمان، وانت عالبال آمان 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 آمان، وانت عالبال آمان آمان. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So sweet. I'm able to see the comments and thank you for the messages. So sweet. Love being here with all of you. And of course, with Kiran and Rez and Alexandra and being part of this event. So I will hand it over to you, Alexandra.
Doesn't matter how many times we do this, right? We forget to unmute. Um, Appreciate your patience. Well, that was beautiful. Thank you, ladies. Really, really special to have you here, and I appreciate that. How much energy and love you put into your music. So I'm going to start off this discussion with Kiran and Farah, and just, we're going to see where it flows. But maybe Farah, you could answer this one first. What is the origin of the music you perform? You mentioned that the repertoire is mostly modern, but what does that mean in this context? There's some tradition in it?
So what it means is, I write most of my own music. Unless I'm performing a folk song, it's my own writing. And so the last two songs I wrote myself, except for the first one was actually based on a 12th century poem, but I wrote the melody and that. But so what it means is that, for anybody who's not, very obviously pop, it's quite easy for people to just assume that they're folk singing or singing something traditional. In my case, that's not the case. I sing very much my own music, more contemporary. And it's funny because I actually thought about it today, and I've only really recorded about 3 folk songs, not more, unless and a fourth one is only, it was integrated into my own composition and was kind of this tag at the end. But so what it means is, I'm writing my own material, I'm arranging, composing, and creating something new. It also means that it's not something that's been, for the most part, it's not something that's been created before. So that allows a lot of creativity from my end and a lot of new experiences and things to share with my audience. But, being from Jordan and being an Arab Muslim woman performer, it's very often people want to just box you into a category and say, okay, so you're from Jordan, so you must sing like, are you traditional? And although I do get inspiration sometimes from traditional music, that's not the majority of what I perform.
Kiran?
And I'll hand it over to Kiran to answer that, because I'm sure I have a feeling our answers are a little bit similar in experience.
They are a little bit similar. So I am also doing, we do contemporary music, and people often, so my band, like we're doing this duo. Rez and I are married, and so we've been fortunate that during COVID we've been able to make music. But my 6-piece band is made up of course, Rez on guitar, but I also have a tabla player and an organ player who also plays accordion, and then electric bass. And drum set. Right, thank you. And so when people see the tabla and when people see that I'm not singing in English, they often assume that I'm doing traditional music. And also when they read my bio, I have learned for decades, since childhood, I've learned Indian classical music and a song form called ghazal, which is a song form based on love poetry. And so people feel that I'm doing traditional music, or even just because I'm wearing Indian clothes, they feel that I'm doing traditional music. But I very much write my own lyrics. Tonight, what I did was the first song I did. I had written the melody, and then I did a folk song because we felt like something different tonight. But I write my own lyrics, write my own melodies. Rez arranges them, and so it's music of today. It's contemporary. um, it talks about things that we're going through right now, things, issues of the human condition that I go through, that we all go through. And So much so that once when I did a showcase for a lot of presenters, and it was all contemporary music, I got a write up saying that I'm doing classical Indian music. And I was like, oh my God, I said right in the set that I wasn't doing that. So I had to figure out, I wanted to figure out a way where I really got the point across very cleanly and clearly that this is contemporary music. So my next album cover that I did, I wore a blue Indian outfit, which is not traditional. It's a contemporary outfit, but it's Indian. It's just not a Western outfit. And I wore blue lipstick with it. And of course, all the straight men hated it, but all the
Except me.
women and the gay men loved it. What'd you say?
I said except for me.
Oh, except for Rez. That's right. Except for Rez, he loved it. And so, but and a lot of like straight journalists asked me, why are you wearing blue lipstick? Like, with their nose scrunched up. They were kind of irritated with it. And I said, it's my indication that this is not traditional music. This is modern music.
Thank you. Thank you, Kiran.
Yeah.
So traditionally, musicians from your, I'm going to stick with you, Kiran, for now, and then we'll
Yeah.
go back to her. Are musicians in your home country, is it dominated by a specific gender, which we can guess which gender, but is that the
Um,
case? Or?
Maybe 100 years ago, or they were probably mostly men, but not now, and not for, I would say, not for the last, not for the last 50 years. Yeah, in all forms of Indian music, which is classical, folk, and India has a plethora of languages. It has like 16 or 17 official languages. And so on Indian money, if it's a 1 rupee note, it'll say, well, we don't have the 1 rupee note anymore, but if it's a 10 rupee note, it'll say in 17 different languages that this is legal tender. This is 10 rupees. 17 official languages. So, and then there's so many other unofficial languages, and then so many other dialects. So folk music from all those regions, which is different. So classical music, folk music, Bollywood music, ghazal music, other forms of music. I think for the last 50 years, there've been a lot of women, but traditionally, yes, it was men. Like traditionally, as in 100 years ago. Oh, you're muted, Alexandra.
No, I'm getting
Oh, there you go.
ding-a-lings and all sorts of noises, so I'm trying. Farah, you want to answer? You want to take up that question about what traditionally who's?
Sure. So it's a complex question, a complex answer. But what I would say is, in Jordan, the music has predominantly been, men performing. But you have I mean, not only men, but majority men, and but you do have performers like Samira Tawfiq, and mind you, she sang mostly folk, and you will have like dancers if they're dancing in a troupe. There's both, but again, it's mostly folk based, or at least that was the experience I had when I grew up. Mind you, there are some very powerful historical musical figures that were women in the Arab world, like Kulthum and Feiruz. But growing up, I didn't really see anyone that I could point to that was, a singer-songwriter, performer outside of folk and say, I want to be like that, Now that's changed a lot, and there are so many women artists in Jordan and in the Arab world, and it's really incredible. There's just been this thirst that just opened a lot of doors. So that's not the case now. But growing up, I did struggle to find somebody that I could look up to and say, I would like to be like that. Mind you, again, there are a lot of women in folk music and folk dance, but I didn't know anyone in particular that was more of a singer-songwriter. I'm sure there were, but I don't think that they were spotlighted as much as maybe they should have been. So
I have a question for you. Like, did you study in a school music or
in Jordan,
privately? Yeah.
well, it's so interesting. And I have my mom to credit for this. So my mom and my grandmother, uh, were the and are well, were the music lovers of the family. And so, and my grandmother passed away, but she really instilled so much love for music in me and my mom as well. And so when I was 3 years old, my mom, started me with piano lessons, and put me like in a children's choir where I got to sing for a Lebanese, young singer whose name was Remy Bendali. Everybody knows her. Everybody loves her. She was maybe a couple of years older than me. So if I was 3, she might have been, I don't know, 7, 8. And I adored her. So that was, when I was 3, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I got to be on stage with her in her choir. Funnily enough, I don't know what I sang. I don't remember being 3 years old. I remember the stage though. I remember that. And my eyes lit up, and my mom just saw something in me. I didn't want to get off stage. And so she, kept encouraging me to study music. And I did take piano lessons. I never took voice lessons, but I did take piano lessons. And then when I was 14, I started playing guitar. But, had my mom not seen that spark where I really wanted to be on stage, I don't know if I'd be where I am today.
I
That
was
said,
I was just curious to know, like you said that there aren't that many female singers even now, but I was just curious to know, are there students of music like that are
oh,
female?
definitely. And there are many women singers now.
They
Definitely.
are
There
now.
are.
Okay,
But
okay.
when I was growing up, it was, if you're not in
Oh, okay.
folk, the singer-songwriter scene was still very much developing. And I
Okay.
feel like it started developing over time, and now it's like it's amazing. There's a lot
Yeah.
of incredible artists.
Awesome.
But if you weren't in the folk arena, in traditional Arabic music, it wasn't so much. It wasn't as widespread as it is now.
Yeah. Oh, Alexandra, you're muted. There we
Yes.
go.
Oh my goodness, you'll have to excuse me. Now, Kiran, there you are. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your path to becoming the
Oh,
music?
my path, yes. Well, my parents are music lovers, and when they were younger, they music was a very, very serious hobby for them. It was a hobby only; it wasn't their career, but it was really serious. And so they're the ones responsible for me learning music, and in India a teacher used to come to our house, and I used to learn privately music. I have been learning since the age of 5. And my parents would also have parties that would be music parties because their friends would love music as well. So in these parties, there would always be one portion of the evening that would be everybody singing. Well, everybody who wanted to sing, but the majority of the people were singers. And even as a child, I participated in those parties, singing something Bollywood or something like like or folk or some kind of a tune. And then we after a while we immigrated to Canada, and my parents sought out a teacher for me in Canada. And then until from grade school to university, I continued to learn Indian music in Canada part time. And then after I completed university, I got a job for a while, but then I quit that job, and then I went back to India for about 10 years to be a full time music student. And that's where I got my major. Those were my formative years of learning my craft. Um, and then I came back to Canada and recorded my first album in 2000. And along the way after that, I met Rez, who was very. I mean, I was already uh, uh, um, my music. I wanted it to be a reflection of my own character, which is hyphenated. I have a hyphenated culture. I'm Indian, and I'm Canadian, and now I'm a New Yorker as well. But I wanted my music to reflect that hyphenated cultural citizenship that I have. And so I already had that mindset, but Rez was very instrumental in bringing that contemporary Western guitar sound that I love into my music.
And did you feel that there were any specific challenges as a woman to arriving at where you are today?
Um, there are there were definitely and still are specific challenges to not singing in English. That's a major challenge to get the same type of platforms, to not be ghettoed in a world music series or a world music festival, but to be able to go into other festivals as well. And we have we have performed in classical festivals and a series, and in folk festivals and in jazz festivals as well, because we can tie in a little bit of everything. But that is still a major hurdle, as I would say, is not singing in English. Being a woman, you know, it's there there are hurdles in life of being a woman, period. And I'm definitely, I had those hurdles just in life in general, and sometimes they would spill over to music. Um, but there's no one incident that I can think of right now.
Hmm. Thanks. Thanks, Kiran. Why don't we pose the same questions to you, Farah? How you sort of came up in the world and became a musician, and what obstacles you might have faced, and as being a woman, or
Yeah, that's a great question. So I already mentioned that I started when I was 3 and like with music lessons, and I just kept going. I knew I loved the stage. I was a born performer. I knew that's something I wanted to be. I loved sharing that experience. And so I just, throughout school, I was performing on stage all the time. And then when it came to university time, when I was asked, like, what do you want to study? I was like, music. And my family was supportive, of course, but bear in mind, in general, everybody I knew that was going to go study music, they were going to study music education. And they're like, oh, okay, so you want to be an educator. And I have all the respect in the world for educators. But I knew I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to be on stage. And that was not really heard of, when I was growing up in that sense. So I had to push back, definitely. And I had to assert that that is what I wanted to do. And it was very clear to me. So I went to Trinity College of Music, and initially studied music composition. And then I went to Berklee College of Music and majored in film scoring. And I was just performing all the time. And I just knew, I didn't, performance wasn't my major, funnily enough. It was film scoring and music business and management. But I was performing all the time, and I knew that I wanted to do that. So that was my journey. They say, like, oh, how did you pick music? I feel like, probably, any musician can relate that, no, music picked me. I didn't choose it. It was just there from the beginning. And for me, it's been a really beautiful blessing, because it's my form of expressing myself. It's also my way of connecting with people. I love people. I have this love instilled in me for meeting others, for connecting, and music is such a beautiful medium to do so, and also to raise awareness about human rights, animal rights, women's rights. It's really a very powerful and universal tool. So, but definitely there's been challenges being a woman in the music industry. And like Kiran said, being a woman, period, is can often be challenging. And there are things that we go through that are, that really shouldn't be the case. And in my case, I think some of the things if I, look back, some of it was, for example, being a woman musician and artist in the music industry, and even like with former musicians, I don't play with them anymore. If they, but like if you're a woman and you're a leader, that can be intimidating sometimes. And I've had to really put my foot down sometimes and be like, I can't work with you. If you can't take, if you can't take leadership from a woman, then we're not meant to be together. And that's been, it was kind of this thread that I noticed in my work, in my growth as a woman artist, with men musicians. And so that's one of the challenges I faced. Another one was, for example, going to the studio that I booked and I hired the musicians, and I get there and we're recording tracks, and the recording engineer is asking questions to the musicians in the booth who are men about my music and won't ask me directly. So things like that, where you realize they might not even, it's not even a conscious thing, but, having those experiences asserts that really there's so much patriarchal behavior that is just all over in our society, anywhere in the world. It's not, just my part of the world. This has happened in the US as well, and other places. And I think that's why, sometimes we really have to we have to really be more assertive, because we need to show that actually I know what I'm doing. And sometimes, if they see that you're a vocalist, they assume that you don't know anything about, I'm a vocalist, but I'm a composer, I'm an arranger, I'm a songwriter, there's other layers. And even if you're a vocalist and don't arrange or compose or songwrite, that's enough in itself. But often, musicians who are men will overlook that and kind of not give as much weight to women musicians. But luckily, I learned from those experiences, and I only work with amazing musicians who do not behave that way, and who really are all about gender equality. But definitely there's been challenges, and add on top of that being an Arab woman, add on top of that being a Muslim woman, here in America, especially, there's things you see, there's things you hear, and things you experience that shape how you experience things in the music industry and beyond.
Thank you. Thanks, Farah. Kiran, would you like to add anything about that experience of being a woman of color, or just a woman in general, that you could illuminate for us?
I think I pretty much said before, Farah, that it's just, just generally in life, being a woman, have had those kind of experiences.
Right.
I do hope that we're not going to run out of time to play our collaboration that Farah and I have worked on.
That's right.
We started a couple of minutes late, so we have a few minutes extra. But Farah, if you'd like to introduce that collaboration, before you do, we're going to take questions from everybody. So put your questions in the chat, and when we're done with the collaboration, we'll get to that. So Farah, why don't you let us know how this collaboration came about?
Sure. So, well, it came about thanks to you, because you invited Kiran and I to perform at your wonderful event highlighting women. And by the way, that's part of what I was going to mention, is that we need more events like this highlighting women, and putting women at the forefront. I think it's really important. So what you're doing is great, and I thank you personally. And so basically, when you suggested this event and said, Kiran and I had met we met in Montreal. When was it? A couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, February. I know it was freezing. I know I didn't leave the hotel. We were at a music conference, and we met, and I was like, wow, she's amazing. And I got to know her a little bit, and we had discussed, collaborating. We said, oh, well, let's get together. And then I was in New York last year, and we said, oh, let's get together and collaborate. and then COVID happened and we didn't get to do it in person. So when you invited us to this event, I thought, well, we can't do this collaboration in person yet, but what if we use this opportunity to record something together and collaborate? So we did that. I proposed a song of mine called Hek Dunya, and Kiran did such a beautiful job. I had goosebumps. It was such a pleasure listening to her vocals, and she wrote lyrics to it in Urdu/Hindi. And I mean, it's just incredible. I'm so happy with how it turned out on this collaboration, and I'm really excited to share it with you. I don't know, Kiran, if you want to add anything, but that's been my experience. It's been wonderful, and I'm really excited to share.
Yeah, well, so the words that you wrote are for your brother,
right? Yes, right? My brother was going through a rough time, and so I wrote a song for him because after a bit of a rough time, I noticed that he was kind of feeling better, looking better, and I found that kind of light back in his eyes. So that's what the song was about. It's about, life being, it says one day, Hek Dunya means that's life. Yom ilak, yom alik. One day you're on top and the next day you're at the bottom, so it's this, and the verses speak about how, I finally see that light again in your eyes. I finally hear you laughing from your heart. So thank you for asking about the context. Yes, because it's in Arabic, and Urdu/Hindi. So we want people to know what it's about as well.
Yeah, so when you told me about those words, I was reminded of my cousin who he struggled with mental illness almost his entire life, ever since we were children, and he finally did take his life, and I was reminded of that again, and so that's what inspired me to write the words that I wrote in your melody. Well, actually, no, I wrote a different melody in the verse, but that's what inspired me to write the words in your song. And so the Urdu words, Urdu/Hindi words are saying, it's not always like this, that life is just and only against you. It can also be a friend. And so, yeah, Hake.
Yes, wonderful. So let's screen it. Everybody, we hope you enjoy.
شايف قدامك، وهاي أول مرة بشوفك حاسس بوجودك، وهاي أول مرة بحسك عايش حياتك، والدنيا عليك
Thank you, ladies. That was absolutely beautiful, beautiful. Um,
Thank you.
Tell us what the title referred to.
Hek dunya.
Yeah,
That's life
that's life. Yeah.
in Arabic. Yeah, dunya, actually, dunya or dunya, you can pronounce it either way, means world, but also life. And well, actually, yeah, it means like the world, like that's the world, that's life, you know?
Mhm.
But I know that dunya also means world in many other languages.
In Urdu, it means world. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you, everybody writing us. Thanks to
Yes,
everybody writing us in the chat. So glad that you loved the collaboration.
yes. Thank you so much. I mean, and thank you, Kiran, for blessing this song with your voice and your melody and lyrics. I mean, what a treat to have you.
What a
Um,
treat to sing with you.
you know, I mean, this song was released on my album Dunya, and now I love this version of it even more. Like I hope I'm planning on. I think it would be nice to release it also because it's just I love it even more than the original now.
Aw,
Thanks to Kiran.
thanks to
You
you.
guys have plans to tour when this whole mess ends?
That would be awesome.
Absolutely. Yes. Can't wait. Maybe we'll come to your university in person.
Absolutely, we would love it. We would love it.
So I see here on the chat, Apurva is asking, where can we find the video? So Farah, you're going to put the video up on YouTube?
Yes.
Are you?
Yes. Yeah. I will for sure. So stay tuned. If you you can find I mean, I think it would be interesting and it would be good to put our social media handles so people can see how to reach us or find us afterwards. I mean, if you look up Farah Siraj music on YouTube, just look up my name and you'll find my YouTube channel, and that's where I'm planning on releasing that video. But also Farah Siraj on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that. Will eventually all these channels will merge into the YouTube video where you can see this again. Thanks for that question.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that because Ken just asked that as well. So you can find me uh, on all social media as well, either Kiran Ahluwalia, and the name it's a hard name. Sometimes I get a hallelujah as well, but it's Kiran Ahluwalia, and the spelling is on the poster of this session, but I can also just put it here. Well, actually, you know what? My website is kiranmusic.com. So Kiran music. Was Siri that just started. Well, I don't know why. Kiran Music, Kiran music.com. There you go. Wonderful agent. Oh, my wonderful agent Danielle just put it in there. And farahsiraj.com. There you go.
I also put your website and then I included mine.
And we'll put it in the I'll copy it and put it in the YouTube.
Oh.
Because over on YouTube we have another audience watching.
Well, we're actually chatting from our own YouTube accounts. So just follow follow our accounts and join there. You can subscribe and follow, as so many like influencers will say. Subscribe and follow, hit like.
Well, somebody wants to know what you think of music culture in New Mexico, which I'm not sure you know much about, but if you do, Julian Monjaras wants to know.
I don't know anything about the music culture in New Mexico. I know we love visiting New Mexico, and love the weather. But we played global crookie there a couple of times and done a couple of radio things there. But I don't know much about the music culture.
I think also that question might be more for you, Alexandra, because you live there and you're immersed in the musical culture.
Well, thanks for putting me on the spot. Music is my life. We're in the business of going out there and finding what is new and what is original and what is traditional and what is worthy, and it's all worthwhile. It's all beautiful. So I don't have a biased opinion. I have a very unbiased opinion of all genres. So
Well, I've never been to New Mexico, and I really hope to visit sometime soon. Fingers crossed. Maybe Kiran and I will visit together.
come visit. We have 3 million acres of wilderness and rivers and hiking, and we'd love to have you.
That sounds amazing. And again, thank you for having us in this virtual event. It's been really a beautiful experience, and I've enjoyed it very much. And, grateful for this platform and grateful for you having hosted us, and grateful to everybody who's tuning in and spending your time with us.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for having us and coming into our living room and inviting us into your living rooms. I see a few living rooms, and that's nice to see people's faces. It's okay if they want to hide as well. That's also fine, but it's great to see people's faces as well. And
Yeah, I
thank you,
second that.
Alexandra.
Getting to see people's reactions is really fun.
And thank you, Alexandra.
Thank you guys, and everybody. You have a wonderful night, and really appreciate you coming to our university virtually and one day in person. You guys take care, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Take care, everyone. Stay safe and stay sane.
Take care. Bye.